Okay, see, so I'm not done yet. And I'm not done yet because I'm not done being pissed and I'm not done talking to y'all about it. Because here's another thing that's pissing me off. And I want to start this with a story because again, I know that it seems unladylike to talk like a sailor like I do, to get angry like I do to some people. I don't know. We're not the mac and cheese generation, so we're a different type of women. We're really free, and we don't give a damn. Okay, so there's that. Here's the point. I remember, so my nephew is tall, like most of the men in my family, and when he started playing basketball in high school, and basketball is we're a sports family. We all played sports. My parents played. Then I mean, it's a generational thing. Every Dickerson played sports in school. I played basketball for 5 years. Love basketball. It's my favorite sport. But I wouldn't coach it because I'm like a Bobby Knight type. So no. So you understand when my nephew started playing high school ball and I went to his first game, I didn't critique his game. He got enough of that from his dad and his granddad. So I never critiqued his game, but he didn't have a really good game. And so he called me afterwards and was like, well, I didn't have as good a game. Wish I had a better game. They were doubling me up. And I was like, yeah, they were. Here's the thing, Booter. I'm like, they had you doubled up, but both of those players were like 3-4 inches shorter than you. You were playing straight up with them. I'm like, you got to get big down there. You can't play docile into the post. You need to get that fuck you attitude. This is my teenage nephew, but I got to tell like a TI is, and he knows his own thing. And I told him, I was like, excuse my French, but I mean it. You got to get that fuck you attitude. You got to get big underneath. They shouldn't even be that close. You ain't getting into my house. Fuck you. Get big. Next game I saw, he was down there big as shit, playing underneath, slamming on him and junk. He appreciated it. But again, it's attitude. It's attitude is half the battle. And so I know we're all missing sports this Sunday. And whenever you listen to this recording this Sunday, and again, I love football. I love lots of sports: tennis, football, basketball. Those are my favorites. So yeah, when everything shut down, March Madness is my Christmas. I get more excited about March Madness than I do Christmas. And the Big Ten, I mean, we were set up to do some really good shit this year. Love our new coach Holman. I mean, we had a really good squad going. Oh well, it was weird. It was weird that whole week. I kept waking up like, looking at the guide, and they still had the games. Oh, this is the regional final here, and this is the game that's supposed to be played here, and it's like, oh. But I didn't complain. There were a lot of people like, oh, I can't believe they're gonna do this. Like, hey, good on you, Big Ten. Way to go, Bucks. We started socially distancing a week before that. So we were like, yep, well done. I didn't expect anything less from my alma mater in our conference. But it's hard. And here's the thing, there's a reason why we're a sports fan. And my dad was a football coach, uh, I was kind of a football brat. Me and my best friend's dad was the head coach. My dad was defensive coach. We were cheerleaders. And so I spent a lot of time out on that football field. And I would listen. My dad is full of wisdom. And he always says, we call him daddyisms, the things that he says, his little catchphrases. One of his favorites, we all grew up hearing was, you say, I want McDonald's. He's like, yeah, people in hell want ice water. Right? Those things. He's like, those are actually his dad sayings, granddadisms. So, but my granddad, I didn't get to know him well, but my dad is a lot like him, he says, in a lot of the ways he teaches us. And growing up, one thing that I always found fascinating was watching him with other kids, is I know how he did us. And so it was always awesome to see. And he would gain so much respect from all these boys that he was coaching up on the football field. And I remember one day, it just sticks out in my head. And a few years ago, I saw this for the first time, I think, ever on the field when our Buckeyes were on the field. And I lost my shit. And Shauna lost his job shortly after that. And Here's what happened when my dad was coaching Pee Wee defense. I think my cousin was one of them, but there was like a group of 3 defenders. And somehow the running back got all the way through and into the end zone untouched. And that doesn't happen on my dad's D. And he walked out on that field. And I remember looking at all of them because when they started doing it, I knew my dad was about to lose his shit. There were like 3 or 4 black boys sitting there pointing at each other. But you were supposed to do that. Yeah, I saw that. I saw y'all. Buckeyes don't do that. Yeah, 3 or 4 dudes pointing. I'm like, oh no. And my dad came out through his head. He's like, you grabbed I think it was my cousin, was like, who are you pointing to? Who are you looking to blame? Who are you looking for? Where were you? That's the thing. This is how we were raised. You don't, if the dude ran past you, I don't give a damn who was supposed to tackle him. What were you doing? You don't, as an adult, as a man, as a person. Because he raised me and my sister the same way as he raised my brother. You don't shirk responsibility. You take responsibility. You don't look for other people to blame for when you fuck up. And in fact, when we did that, you got in more trouble. Again, I knew he was about to throw down his hat and go out there and grab somebody up. Because the minute you start pointing and looking for somebody, like, it was hilarious. Me and Trisha talked about this when that interview. And this is how I can tell a lot of people in the media and the press and writers and TV shows, y'all are raised by punk ass parents. I know this. And here's how I know it. Because when Michael Cohen first turned on Trump, and he did this interview with, I can't remember who it was. It might have been ABC. And he was like, this should be illegal for them to rat on you. They're ratting on me, and it should be illegal. And what got reported was that Trump said that Michael Cohen shouldn't be allowed to rat on them. Didn't hear this question. The first question that popped in my head when I heard it. Why didn't the reporter ask this question? Probably because it never occurred to him. Rat on you about what? When I heard him say they shouldn't be allowed to rat on you, it took me right back to my childhood. That was a confession. That was as good as confession. If you were up to no good and you got busted or somebody else got in there like they're telling on me, the first question my mom or my dad would have said was, ratting on you for what? Right. I don't give a damn what they were doing. What were you doing? That whatever everybody else could have been doing all kinds of shit, and you could have just been spectating. Just spectating would have gotten you in trouble too. You didn't stop them. You didn't say anything. What were you doing? This is how we were raised from the time we were kids. You take responsibility. So when Trump was asked, there was a Department of Rapid Response to Pandemics that President Obama created, piggybacking off of what George W. Bush had instituted in the first pandemic that hit under him. It just continued through the Obama administration, and then President Obama made it an entire department in the executive branch, so that we would be prepared for some shit like this way ahead of time, and it wouldn't get let loose. So reporters started asking in March, the end of March, the beginning of April, if you think it was a mistake for you to disband the epidemiology department in the White House. And this fucker said, I didn't do anything. We never did anything like that. I didn't do it. You didn't order it. And then he went, Paul? Who in the fuck is Paul? Listen. Here's what cracks me up is people think he's tough or some shit. He's the smallest little weakest child I have ever seen. That dude wouldn't have lasted a day in my house, because you know what? You get your ass beat for shit like that. Lying is a cardinal rule in our house. That was like capital punishment. That was like the death penalty. If you lie, whatever you did is going to be 10 times compounded because you lied about it. Everything he does, you wouldn't last a day in the Dickerson treatment. We don't indulge tantrums and spoil brats. We break them until you get that bratty shit out of you. But as a nation, we have been indulging this motherfucking brat. Now I'm talking to you, Democrats, because this is getting on my nerves. in Oregon, first of all, in Oregon, when William Barr is supposed to be the Attorney General for the United States. We all know he's been acting as Trump's henchman. And this is about law and order, what I'm talking about here. And when he sent those Gestapo on the streets of America in Oregon, and the governor and the Senate and the mayor and everybody's like, wait, what the fuck? Get these people out of here. You know what they all said? Their senators, all of them said, this should frighten every American. Every news report I hear says, every American should be frightened. Trump says, he don't know if he's going to leave. Well, what do we do if he doesn't leave? I ain't fucking worried about it. Listen, you know why? Because we are the mob. Because we're 75% who are against him. 75% of 300 is way more than Donald Trump. Okay? He gonna get the fuck out. That's one. Two, the founders put powers in the Constitution for a reason. Y'all are just scared to use them. They didn't intend for us to spectate the downfall. Right? When you see a tyrannical president and an obviously complicit GOP Senate, you can't just say, oh, well, I guess the Senate, I guess we got to wait for an election. Look at what all he's done since then. It means, Nancy Pelosi, you keep bringing those hearings. That means you start arresting people for not showing up. You don't ask them to appear before Congress. You know, Trump keeps talking about he wants to be a law and order president. You know what? I want a law and order president. As much as we're talking about policing and police brutality and shit, here's a big conversation we ain't talking about when it comes to policing and justice in this country. How is it that a doctor can be sued for negligence, malpractice, even if he makes an honest mistake in the operating room, and go to jail for it? But a president who ignores a pandemic and is responsible for the deaths, literally responsible for the deaths of more than 160,000 Americans, continues to just go on. And we just got to let him keep doing it until 300,000 are dead by December and we're powerless. I don't think so. I think Barr should have been impeached. I think if Nancy Pelosi, as Speaker of the House and third in line to succession, could institute a mask mandate for the Capitol Hill floor, not the building, just the floor, after Louis Goobert got coronavirus. What the fuck was the problem since March, since y'all started coming back in April and May and having in-person? Because you do know the people that clean the building, who open the building, who secure the building and shit, they're not on the Capitol Hill floor, but yeah, the Gooberts and the Gomerts of all the Capitol Hill are walking around breathing on everybody. I mean, you could have mandated that or get the fuck out a long time ago. Well, y'all afraid to use the belt? I don't have kids. And my nieces and nephew are good kids. Never had to put my hands on them, not once. I would have, and they didn't doubt it. Here's the thing. Let me teach you something about you punk ass parents. Every punishment, every violation doesn't require a punishment, but the punishment definitely has to fit the crime. And the founders called them high crimes for a reason. Like the damage, no matter what, even the biggest mass murder in this country, and we've had a lot of them, has never killed 160,000 people. It takes a lot of power to do that. That's why they're high crimes. And even a misdemeanor at that level creates a whole lot of damage. So what should the punishment be? I've heard a couple people say, oh, well, after he loses, he's going to run off and probably be a media executive somewhere, he should have no afterlife. He should have no life right now. None of them. Listen, you keep saying nobody is above the law, but that doesn't actually apply if the law doesn't hold them accountable. And you keep acting like the third in line and the House has no power because Mitch McConnell controls the Senate. Who gives a shit? We already gave you that power 2 years ago. We put it where it counts the most, where you can not just issue subpoenas, not just ask, but demand. You got a Capitol Police. So wait, Mitch McConnell's more powerful than Nancy Pelosi. Trump is definitely more powerful than Nancy Pelosi. Every GOP senator, apparently, is more powerful than Nancy Pelosi as Speaker of the House. Louis Gohmert is more powerful because apparently he has to get sick before she'll even put in a mask order for the Capitol Hill floor. And what I'm saying is, we're going to vote for all blue because the GUP is the worst thing that has ever happened to America. The Grand UG Party, the Banana Republicans, they all got to go. Every single one of them. Senate, governorships, Congress, White House, mayors, everywhere. All of you. Y'all cast your lots in with the devil, made a bargain with the devil, and now you got to pay him with your motherfucking soul for eternity. Ta-da! Get the hell out of our government. But what we want in its place is not the same old fucking cowardly, democratic, controlled government that has really enabled Republicans to take control of a huge portion of the population that would otherwise be in support of a lot more Democrats. You're cowardly, and you think we can't tell. So let's talk about fear. Because here's one simple answer. Every time y'all are afraid, remember that God did not give us the spirit of fear. So if you're afraid, who's telling you to be afraid? I saw this happening. I saw it happening after 9/11. In order to secure votes, they told you to be afraid, be very afraid. And I'll admit, it was disconcerting that first day, leaving downtown when downtown was evacuated, the day the towers went down. We watched it live after the first plane hit in the offices. And then when downtown was evacuated, it was downtown Columbus, which meant I was in a log jam for an hour looking up like, holy shit. I just want to get away from this part of town. But then the next day, it was like, who are these motherfuckers? They were cheering and celebrating. It was like, wait, what? Then it wasn't fear, it was more anger. It was more like, wait a minute. Who do these people think they are? Who do they think they are? They just rattle a lion's tail. Now, I want to talk about something. This is going to get deep. Trisha wanted to have this conversation with me, but she's in disrepair this weekend. So I'm going to go ahead and have it. Maybe we'll do a Zoom call later to fix it. Y'all remember Reverend Wright in 08? I do. I remember 08 and 09 vividly because there was something spiritual happening. I remember a year after the President Obama was elected, and I went to one of those healthcare rallies in California, Southern California, where I was living, and it was a very sweet representative. She was trying to just explain and answer questions if anybody was confused about it. From the minute she started talking, they were, ah! I mean, these people were frothing at the mouth. They had the googly eyes. I had never been in a room full of that much stupid and crazy in my entire life. And it's like, I've been in the politics my whole life. I watched Crossfire growing up, but it wasn't like this. The vile hatred, the ignorant, rabidness of their hatred was, what in the hell is wrong with you people? The man is trying to give you health care. This makes you sick. I walked outside there, had pictures of him in a Hitler mustache, and the spirit just spoke out of my mouth and said, God ain't pleased with that. And the dude just stopped and looked. Y'all think he playing. Oh, God don't need you to believe in him for him to be real, FYI. But I was thinking about that, thinking about this topic of anger. And I remember when that little soundbite, I'd heard Reverend Wright preach on MLK Day here in Columbus. And he's a man of God. I knew that much. So I was excited. And when that little clip, that little soundbite got out, God damn America, remember that? And it played over and over again on a loop, that little phrase. And they tried to use it to beat President Obama down. And oh, you should have heard the shit people were saying on Fox. And they knew they were lying. They knew they were twisting and distorting. They knew they were deceiving the multitudes. But I went and I listened to that entire sermon. Because I thought, why would he say something like that? I don't even sound like something he would say. So I listened to the whole sermon. And then I knew. God had told me shortly before that. He didn't allow me to say this until very recently, but he put it in my heart. He said, it's in my heart. He said something like how, we've been waiting for the return of the Messiah. Those of us who believe that Jesus is the Messiah for 2,000 years. And he said, I'm here waiting and watching. And he's separating the chaff from the wheat. And it was like a gong in my spirit when that happened. Because if you listen to that whole sermon, I'm going to educate some of y'all who've said a lot of shit, and you might want to go ahead and repent about it right now. Because he was judging your hearts everywhere. When you listen to that sermon, here's something you might not realize about it. He gave that sermon, Reverend Wright gave that sermon the weekend after 9/11. Did you know that? That Sunday. He had friends and people that he was close to that died in that building. He was angry as a pastor. His congregation was angry and hurt and sad, and nobody knew what are we anger, but what to do about it. So Reverend Wright said he didn't know what to say to his congregation. So he started to pray. And God opened his book right up to where it was supposed to be. Right where it's supposed to be. Now, if this sermon had gotten out to America in 2001, what a blessing that would have been. This congregation heard this, and it was right. I remember the book. I should probably listen to the sermon again because it was an important story, but I remember the story. I've read the Bible a couple times. And I remember this story vaguely. When Jesus talked about people of Israel had come to a people, and overnight those people had come and robbed them and slaughtered them and killed their goats and women and everything else. And so the next day, God's people woke up and they're rending their garments and they're throwing ashes on their heads, and they're like, Lord, why? Please, Lord, avenge us, they said. They started out with, oh, Lord, you are Savior, you are our master. Please help us. Please come on our behalf. And they kept pleading, and they kept crying, and then they're like, these people, how dare they do this? And they just kept grinding and grinding. They're like, these people ought to pay. These people, Lord, you should make them, you should curse them for eternity. You should do this to them. You should take their babies and dash their heads against the rocks. See how that anger went from a righteous pleading to a carnal anger. That's what God was warning America about. Did we not turn that carnal anger into a trumped up war? Killed thousands, displaced hundreds of thousands, millions, cost trillions. Are they not now? Did they not spend 10 years under President Obama getting angrier and angrier? And didn't Republicans just keep keying up, and aren't they frothing at the mouth and their googly eyes, and till the point now you look at them, you're like, what the hell? The dude told you to drink bleach and you're still listening to him. In spiritual terms, we call that a possession. God said in the last days there'd be the great deceiver. That's what he called Satan. And I've heard people for years since President Obama left office and Trump took over. And all this time, they've been like, well, what do you do about a Trump? How do you combat lie after lie with the sword of truth? With the sword of truth, children. You got to tell the truth, and you got to tell it loud, and you got to tell it boldly. Almost 4 years in, finally the press is like, we got to start telling the truth. He lies. They used to report when that asshole said, wasn't it Gomer, who said, you lied to President Obama when he was telling the absolute truth. All the media was all on that. Did you lie? Did you actually lie? Oh, they harassed the hell out of President Obama. They held him to a higher standard than they would have held any other president, right and left. I know that. We know that. We're Black. We're used to that. We're Black women. We've been used to that. And he did it with dignity and grace. He carried that like a beast because that's what we do. He towed that line better than I prayed every day. It's hard. Walking that spiritual realm. God had him right at the cusp. So here we are now, a decade later. And that anger has caused y'all a sickness. And it's deep. And I'm telling you what, the reaping is still happening. You're either going to go with the chaff or the wheat. And Trisha had somebody who shall remain nameless post on her Facebook page after an event she went to wearing a mask. Nobody else was. And she was distancing. Nobody else was. And afterwards, this person posted on Facebook, for the record, you dumbasses, because I'm sick of saying it. You do know the mask doesn't protect you from us. It only protects us from you. Yeah, you dumbass. We get it. And it is our fervent hope that some of you dumbasses will figure out that, yeah, you should be wearing a mask to protect me because I'm doing it to protect you. That's how we stop it from fucking spreading. So in other words, you wanted to make sure we all know for the record, because it's pissing you off that we might think you give a shit about somebody other than yourself. For the record, America, God, I don't give a fuck about anybody but myself. Dummies. That's what you're saying. When you look at 160,000 people dead and you think you're not going to wear a mask. In fact, you're going to bike to a 250,000 person event and it spread it around the country. Because what the fuck? Who cares? Go ahead. You ain't got to believe in God. You still going to pay. And here's the thing. We got to get tough. Here's the thing. My parents didn't relish in whipping us. We rarely got capital punishment. Most of the time here's how my dad, here's a perfect example. It's kind of a funny story. This is my cousin Armand, the first time he came to visit us in Ohio from South Carolina. He's special. And so my parents, they're used to dealing with the three of us. If we were born stupid, we weren't going to last long that way. They were going to beat the stupid out of us. They were going to teach the stupid out of us, put it that way. And so my dad, one of the things he never does is ask rhetorical questions when we were growing up. He never asked rhetorical questions. My mom did all the time. And that preceded a big rant. And what'd you do that for? Every time, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? You're making a rant. Yeah. Well, my dad said, what'd you do that for? He wanted an answer. And I don't know, and weren't acceptable answers. Those only made him mad. Right? If he said, now, why'd you do that? You had to stop and think. And he had a way of making you feel as stupid as you just acted. You'd have to admit, I wasn't thinking. All right, you weren't thinking. So when my cousin Armand came up for 2 weeks in the summer for the first time, one of the things we did in the summer, they weren't allowed to go to public pools. We did the pool in the summer. So we couldn't swim. We pulled out our bikes. And that next day after they had been here in Ohio, we had our bikes out. We had gone in the house, I think for lunch or something. Came out, my brother's bike was missing. And so was Armand. And we're like, where in the hell did he go? My dad gets in the car, goes looking for him. We're like, what the hell? Kid didn't know where in the hell he was. He had never even been out of the state of South Carolina, let alone been in. Where are you? My dad found him halfway to Ironton, which is, like 20 miles out of town from our house. My dad came back, man, like, what the hell? And he looked at Armand and he was just like, and where in the hell were you trying to go? And he was like, I don't know. And then it was like, well, how you gonna get there and you don't know where the hell you trying to get? And he looked at Armand the way that he would have asked that question to one of us, right? Expecting an actual answer. And Armand was like, and me and Misty and Michael went, we looked at each other and we looked at Daddy like, oh, I don't think he's gonna get that. My dad was like, just don't do that anymore. But again, he would teach us. I mean, we wouldn't have gotten a whipping. Well, we would have gotten a whipping because we would have known better than do something like that. Just take off like that. Yeah, that would, you know better, right? But Armand never grabbed a bike and ran off again. Because again, my dad's tone of voice will let you know off the rip, I ain't saying it again. And another thing he never did was issue idle threats. Me and Missy, we crack about it all the time. My mom would, one of the main reasons we all got in trouble was cleaning the room. And to this day, you can't put the three of us, it was entrapment in a way, I'll say. Because you still can't put the three of us in a room and expect us not to start joking and clowning with each other. We've always enjoyed each other's company. It's three of us, we play together a lot. Michael had to help us clean our room because we had the bigger room, which is where we kept all the toys. So we had to clean our room. He had to help. And so on Saturdays, they would be like, get in here and clean that room. And all it took was one of us to be putting away the Connect 4 and drop one of those discs in the slot. And my brother, he knew what he was doing. He put it in order, in diagonal order. So then I'd have to go and try to stop him. And then he put another one. I'm going to start it this way. No, you won't. Next thing you know, we playing Connect 4, forgot all about cleaning the room. My mom like, I told you how to clean. And we're like, oh, shit. Listen for the belt. We don't hear her moving. It's like, okay. Right? My mom, this was always a surprise. It was like the 5th or 6th time. I mean, she would even grab the belt sometimes. We hear her jingling. We're like, wait. And she'd sit back down. We hear her put it down on the bed. It's like, okay, let's just sweep real quick. Next time we get up, we'd be making the bed. And, that parachute game we play in school, we'd be start out making the bed. And then we're like, headboard bouncing up against the wall like they don't know we're in there playing and junk. And then next thing you know, my mom come here with the like Zorro, right? And she didn't have aim. I mean, when she got fed up, when she actually did come in with a belt, I mean, we had welts behind our necks and our ears and the soles of our feet. I mean, she went in there and went wreck, right? My dad, however, he only had to give one warning. And half the time, that was the warning, right? My dad didn't have to tell us twice. My dad would say shit like, don't make me come in there. And he didn't say it again. If we did like we did with Mommy, the next sound we'd hear was him grabbing the belt out of the closet, and there wasn't going to be a stop. He was going to come in the room and dust us. and then tell us to quit crying and get it done now. Right? He would say things like, don't make me say it again. He didn't even say it the first time. But we knew if he has to say something else, it's over, right? That's where we need to be as a country. For the people that we entrust with our money and our lives and our livelihoods. Again, it ain't an easy job to run for public office. Again, I wouldn't serve in the military, and I don't actually want to serve in government. I applaud the people that do. I support them, and I cheer them on, and I vote, and I participate, and I pay attention. I'm so glad to see so many people taking the ball and saying, yeah, I'll do it. Thank you. But here's the thing. You hold the public trust, which means we hold you to a much higher standard than somebody who's grown up in poverty and had very little options and very little education, feeling like his only job qualifications is to be a drug dealer and gets caught up in the system. He's been in there for 2 decades now. Wait a minute, wait. So he should be punished, not rehabilitated. But Trump, Giuliani, he's still running around. How's Giuliani still running around free? How's William Barr still free? How is he even still a lawyer? American Bar Association. He has violated every constitutional principle. Again, so we don't need to listen. Because I'm pissed. I'm going to tell you what, as a black woman, I am extremely pissed. I know lots of black boys who have had their lives ruined for life because they were 17 and 18 and got caught up being stupid. These people know good and fucking well what they're doing. Mitch McConnell knows good and damn well with Lindsey Graham. Oh, you think I forgot about that $275,000 that you got donated from Russians in 2016? But we're not supposed to talk about that anymore. Okay, you taking money from foreigners, which is affecting the way you vote, which is affecting the way that this country protects our military, attacks our citizens, robs our coffers, kills citizens by the tens of thousands because you're beholden to a foreign power. Russia, no less. What are you people afraid of? What are Democrats afraid of? You have the law and you have righteousness on your side. They are breaking the law to do all that they're doing. And the media and is like, oh, this is a shame. Look at what they're doing. Look, we're doing. Thank you, because we need them to point it out. But then we need our Congress, regardless of the Senate, in the House to say, you know what? No. Yes, you have the right. The Sergeant of Arms is under Nancy Pelosi's control. Use them. When do you think we're supposed to? You know, there used to be actual fights on the floor of the Senate where you actually had to be restrained by a Sergeant of Arms. But it's out of decorum now. Well, I'm going to tell you what the fuck is out of decorum. I'm going to tell you what's out of decorum. 160,000 Americans dead, and they don't give a fuck. What did Trump say? It is what it is. I'm not giving y'all a pass. What do you do? All right, you pointed out, and we know how fucked up he is. You want more power. What are you doing with the power we've already given you? I'm fed up. Don't cave, but don't quit. And don't soften. Get tough. You want us on your side? Then I want you out there. Why is it only the people who have to risk their life? Risk getting COVID. Risk getting beat up by police. There are 535 fucking souls in that Congress, if you want to call them all souls. When are y'all going to start? It took John Lewis staging one protest one time. If ever we needed y'all to act like, to earn that salary that you get, that lifetime security from your pension, courtesy of your tax-paying citizens, we need y'all to, damn it, earn it too. It ain't good enough to just say, oh, the Republicans are fucked up. Oh, Trump is fucked up. Yeah, but we need to know that we're going to have a law and order president and a law and order Congress is going to hold the powers that be, hold themselves to account. You may be friends outside of the Senate rules, Chuck Schumer, with Moscow Mitch. But you know what? The rest of us, fuck him. I don't give a fuck about your friendship. Your friendship should be toast. If doing the right thing costs you a friendship, well then fuck, that's the way it is. Okay? Can I talk to every single fucking one of y'all now? This is serious. This is urgent. There are people in your district right now who need help right now. They can't wait another week. They can't wait another 2 weeks. Do you care? Prove it.